Welcome to Bears in Exile. Today is now the 11th and Saturday, but this is the quick hit on the indexes for Friday and the weekend. So, starting off with the Dow, up almost 36 points, and I'm in the wrong time frame. So the question becomes, do we have something to work with tonight? Last night we were saying that once again the Bears were set up for an opportunity should they choose to take advantage of it, and they initially tried and then utterly failed, which I guess is true to form for the Bears. So today ending with a new all-time closing high, which is bullish. Certainly if we could have got above yesterday's tail to the top, it would have been much better for the Bulls, but still, a new closing high, not a bad outcome for them. Now, the question becomes, well, do we have more to go to the upside? Well, it would seem likely to me at this moment. We've talked about, as we're making new highs, that at some point you have a pullback, and then you would have to have a attempt at meeting or exceeding it, and then you see if it fails or not. Last night we were looking to see if we could get a downtick on the major indexes. Obviously that did not happen. So we have the stochastics holding high, with the 14-day RSI moving average innocent. Have the CCI trying to back off a little bit, the RSI going sideways high, slightly down on the MACD, still going up on the MACD histogram, and setting up ever more negative divergence in the MACD histogram. So anything here that is just a huge signal that there's a problem? No, there's not. Do we have anything to work with? Yeah, actually we do. Going to the 60-minute time frame, and I know that this one has just been, it sets up for a decline, and then they squeeze the heck out of the Bears, and rinse and repeat. Anything different this time? Well, yes and no. The 14-day RSI moving average is in decline, 60-minute time frame. It only started doing this a few days, started doing it within the last day. And it really hasn't been in decline since the last week of April, when we had some choppy movement. But the point being, the opportunity does exist for a decline. Does it mean that Monday it's going to decline? Well, we have that news from the Wall Street Journal about QE tapering, whatever. I think that's a bunch of nonsense. But beyond that, what do we have going on right now? We have a secondary reset underway, with the stochastics rising, the CCI rising, the RSI rising, the histogram and the MACD rising. Once these get to the top and roll over, they'll be moving in the same direction of the 14-day RSI moving average, assuming that it continues to hold down, at which point we have perfect confluence for a real and sustained down move in the 60-minute time frame. So, that should only take 1 to 2 days, maybe 3 tops, for that to complete, but I really would think it would be a day. Obviously, we can make a new all-time high during that time and force one more squeeze, but at the conclusion of that squeeze, everything should be set up, and I would assume it would be an exhaustion move. But, of course, if we have the 14-day turn back up, that would change everything, but for the moment that seems very likely and maybe even probable. Went on to SPX. More of the same. We were looking to see if we could get a downtick. We did not. And we have a new closing high, but we did not exceed the high from yesterday. And everything that applies to the Dow applies to this. So I suppose there's the off chance that you could have a secondary reset at this time, and then it would go down to the bottom or wherever it goes down here, turns back up and finishes off its move to the upside. but it does seem to contradict the 60-minute. So I'm just going to say that I think it's more likely to have up, exhaustion, and then down. I suppose it's possible that you could have down, a move back up, and then down. Ugh, that would be uglier. Going on to the VIX. There's plenty to see here. We've been talking about the gap over here. We've been talking about support right here, and where it would go if support was broken, which is right here. And once you know it, they closed almost at the lows of the day, in stark contrast to the Dow and SPX, which closed at the highs. But we are still holding this support. Obviously, I think that if this support goes, it's going to fall very quickly, and that would line up very well with an exhaustion move on the Dow and SPX to the upside. And of course, that is assuming that this one would hold. I suppose there can still break this one and fill that gap, but not enough information at this time. But I would, at least for the moment, as strong as this one has been, would assume that this one will at least hold it for a little while. Longer term, yes, doesn't look very good. We are at the breaking point of the ascending lows. The 14-day RSI moving average still ticking down. Everything trying to tick down or hold down. We could have a secondary reset here. It is possible, but overall it should be the 14-day going to the bottom, which does help the Dow and the SPX to a very nice extent. Going to the 60-minute just to be absolutely thorough. Yeah, we can see that nasty end-of-day sell. Do have a blip on the heat map. Maybe it can catch it. If it's not going to catch it here, it's not going to be caught. And yeah, there's a few things. The 14-day is very close to the top. Having it roll over would be, of course, very bad for the bears. But at the same time, 60-minute time frame, it looks like we're pretty darn low. I mean, the CCI is ridiculously low. We could have a final move on here to the top, and then a move down on the 14-day together, which would be really, really nasty. So it's my personal belief that even though we could have a little bit of a bounce here, the overall move should be down relatively quickly, and lends itself favorably to the Dow and SPX. Going on to IWM. Now this one is different. Notice the difference. We have a new high, and it is a new closing high. No little tails that it's ducking under. Very bullish. We obviously have excessive separation, so there is a bubble here. Do we have an indication that it is going to fix itself at this moment? No. 14 days still innocent. Might have a secondary reset, might have a secondary, partial secondary reset, but regardless, it is still going up with plenty of room to move. So you have to give the bulls the benefit of the doubt, whether you want to or not. And going on to SPY to look at our volume information. Wrong volume information. Correct volume information. And what do we see? Last night we were saying that the downtick was a product of the downtick on the on-balance volume, and regardless, we still had or have 5 greens volume-wise. The most notable being the volume price trend, which just flipped. We maintained to have the 5 greens, and we were saying last night to expect a tick back up. That would have been my guess, although of course it can always do whatever it wants. But anyways, it did tick back up. We did get a green day today. We did get a higher close. I believe that's an all-time high close. And we have 5 greens, everything pointing up. We have to give the benefit of the doubt to the bulls at this time. And that's just all there is to it. Maybe that story that came out after the close on Friday will be a game changer. We obviously will not know until Monday. But, I don't know, I'm skeptical. Very skeptical. I don't see how they can ease or stop easing. I just don't see how they can do it. But we'll see. As always, all investing decisions are your own. This chart and video for entertainment, educational, and consumption of time purposes only. And have a very wonderful, fun, and relaxing weekend. And Mother's Day.